I get into something. You say, babe, I got you, I got you. And then when we get into the thick of it, then you all in my face about it with an attitude blaming me. You don't have to do this if you don't want to, Fatima.
I say yes because, babe, I want to hold you down. I don't want to just be around when it's good. But sometimes when we are in the thick of it, it's not how I played it out in my head, and it's a lot.
Okay, another portion of this scene that I really loved was Zach calling out Fatima for, look, you say you want to, be there for me to hold me down, like, be ride or die. But the thing is, when we get in the thick of things, that's when you get an attitude, get all up in my face and whatnot. Now, what I really loved about this discussion is I could see both sides of the coin. The fact that Fatima saw things playing out one way, but then Zach didn't talk with her about it, so she's caught off guard and she's having doubts about it. But regardless of how you feel about Zach, you cannot say that he has not given Fatima multiple opportunities to have an out. Basically, look, I want to get full custody of my son, who's a toddler. It's going to require a lot of adjustments. If this is too much for you, then you can walk. I know it's really harsh, but it's kind of like, let's say you're on a first date with somebody and, they tell you up front, I have 2 children. You pretty much make the decision right then and there. It's like, let's say the date has been going on for like a good 30 minutes. You're thinking, wow, this girl's great. We're really compatible. We get along. But then out of nowhere, she mentions like, look, I want to be straightforward. I have 2 children. You need to make up, your mind in that moment. It's like, oh, wow, I thought it was just the 2 of us. But, no, you already got kids. Then you make that choice. Some people decide to stay. Others decide this is too much for me. But the thing is, it's the ability to be straightforward. You don't jumble up communication. And it's like, man, it sucks. I really like that guy. But it's good that I know now that 2 children were too much for him. So on to the next one. And I feel like Fatima, and this is going to... in some ways, and I said this before, it almost feels like she's staying with Zach because she doesn't want Karen to win. Kind of in the same way that Gary is so territorial over Andy because she's nothing but a prize to him. That's what I truly feel sometimes. Now, I don't want to question Fatima's integrity or her ability to be a chick that holds her man down, not just through the good times, but also the bad times. But she does make it clear, and Zach does recognize, like, look, you know what? I got so much in my life going on right now and whatnot, and things just keep piling up. And look, it's only fair to you that if you want out, then you can make the choice. But Fatima's like, if you get full custody, we'll just have to deal with it. And I don't know. I felt bad for her in the scene, but the way she kind of said it had me going like, wait, so Michael is just something you have to deal with? I honestly don't think that's the best attitude to have towards a kid. That's just my opinion. I mean, he didn't ask to be born. But in any case, I don't know. If somebody says we'll just have to deal with it, it's kind of like, meh. Again, I can understand her feelings in the moment, but I don't know. That kind of just rubbed me the wrong way. But I just feel like overall, it comes down to, again, I got to make another comparison to the game. I want to say it was the season 3 finale when they were planning the wedding where Melanie was like turning into a bridezilla and Tasha calls her out. The reason you want to fast track your wedding because Derwin wanted to like take it slow. Like I wanted to plan, like a great wedding and this, that, and the third, but Melanie wanted to rush to get it done because Tasha called out like the reason you want to bum rush this wedding is so you can have a first over Janae because guess what? Janae is pregnant with Derwin's first child. And you want to have this wedding just to have a one-up on her. It's like, haha, well, I had a wedding and got married to Derwin before that kid was here. But in reality, that's not what happened. When they were literally at the altar, Derwin gets the call and he runs to be with Janae. So it's just one of those situations where Tasha even goes on further to say, you know what, you gave up med school and whatnot. And, yeah, he messed around with Drew Sidora, but, you got back together and this, that, and the third. And I've sacrificed too much to give up now. And it's almost the same thing with Fatima where it's like, you know what, I've ridden with Zach so hard now that after his ex is like, there's no way I'm going to lose to that chick. So I'm not going to give him up so he can like go back to her. And it's kind of weird because with Karen, it's almost like, well, they had 3 years. With Fatima, it's like been 3 weeks, it seems. So Yeah, I don't know. I mean, look, again, I don't want to question Fatima's integrity and whatnot because there's only I guess the biggest question is when it comes to Fatima, what is the breaking point? At what point is too much to the point where, you know what, Zach, I can't do this anymore. I want to leave. What will be that breaking point? Clearly, it isn't another woman because, you know, Zach possibly lies about having sex with Connie and they break up but they get back together. I feel like, you know, I don't know. It's just, again, I don't know. What do you think? Why do you think Fatima is just so determined to stay with Zach no matter what? Because at this point, and I really think back to that one scene she had with Andy where she's like, I wanted to be the only woman he had kids with, you know? And I felt bad for her. But then again, she's making the choice to stay. So, you know, hey, it is what it is. Why do you think that Fatima rides for Zach so hard? What do you think will be that thing that makes her leave for good? Who knows? But again, I love the self-awareness of Zach being like, you say you're going to hold me down with things, but when things get too thick, you just start to get attitude. But Fatima did say something interesting. It's like, well, yeah, but that's usually when things get thick. It doesn't play out the way I thought. Well, Fatima, that's the way you thought things would play out. And most importantly, that's the way you thought things would play out in relation to a situation that revolves around Zach. It's almost like secondhand smoke. Fatima, you're not the one smoking the cigarette. Zach is, but as a result of being in such a close proximity, you're breathing in that tobacco smoke. The same thing applies here. Because you're living with Zach, you're engaged to Zach. A lot of the shit he goes through, you got to deal with it too because it interferes in your relationship with him. So you can either stay in the room with the cigarette smoke, or you can choose to walk out the door. Simple as that. Let's talk about it in the comment section below. Like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.